So, hi, Soraya. Hi, Frankie. Thanks so much for taking some time out. I know you're always busy with all the elements and everything else that you do as well. So, thanks for having a chat with us at Timber Festival. Really appreciate it. We'll just do some intros first. So, I'm Hayley. I look after some of the programming and the creative partnerships for Timber Festival. Soraya, you're the founder and director of the amazing community interest company, All the Elements. And Frankie, you're also a director. And for those who don't know All the Elements, you're an open community leading on access and representation for all of society in the UK outdoors. And we've known you for a while now. We've been in touch for a few years. You've been to Timber Festival before. You curated an amazing panel discussion in relation to the Patagonia film They Them about a trans climber. I think that was in 2022. But what's really exciting about this year is that our partnership has grown and developed over the years, and you're now going to be curating a whole area of timber, which is amazing, with the support of Patagonia, who I know you often work closely with. And we're going to hear a bit more about that area and what you're hoping to do at Timber this year. But I just thought I'd start with something, I don't know, a little bit different, get in the weekend vibe, get us in the positive, happy place. So I just wanted to ask you both, what would you say brings you joy?
It's a great question.
Mhm.
Me personally, it's funnily enough, this sounds very on brand, but it's everything that timber is about.
Right
Which,
answer.
yeah, and I mean this wasn't planned,
No.
but it's nature, it's creativity, it's self-expression, it's connection, it's community. Yeah, for me, it's all of those things.
I find a lot of joy in bringing people together. And when you bring people together and then you take a step back and you just see the joy and the magic that's being shared between people, I absolutely love that. And also fits into what happens at Timber.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's so on
Oh,
brand. What brings
so on
you
brand.
joy, Hayley?
Oh, what brings me joy? Weather like we've had the last few days, and getting outside and climbing mountains and looking at the view and being in the cold, icy sunshine. That brings me joy, as well as all the other things that you've just mentioned, of course. So yeah, as I mentioned, we're really excited about you coming to Timber this year, and we're going to talk a little bit more about what that's going to look like. Some people will already know about you and all the amazing things you do. They may have come into contact with some of the people or the organisations that you have in your community. But for those who know nothing, who've never heard of All the Elements, just tell us a bit more about, well, tell us about you, what you do, what you
Yeah,
focus
sure.
on.
I'll share. And then, Soraya, if you want to jump in at any point, please do. All the Elements is a community of and for people working for change on diversity in the UK outdoors. There are hundreds of people across the UK that are really leading on making the outdoors an accessible place that's open for everyone. And that's really exciting. And I think what our role is really to connect all those people that are doing the work, bring them together, build that community that everybody needs in order to do sustainable, ongoing work. We're there to support people with the resources they need, with opportunities to meet each other online and in person, and also to really amplify the great work that is out there and that's already happening.
Yeah, I think that's a really great overview of what we do. We do the only additional thing that we do, which is probably a little bit less relevant for timber, is that we do some ongoing consultancy with big sector organizations too. So we've got this intersection with our community with the larger sector, and how can we really help them influence the sector into a completely new and exciting place. Because I think we get to talk to really cool, really passionate, really amazing change makers
Mm.
all the time. And we just wish that everyone could talk to them and work with them and then we'll see that change. But you have to have the people in there talking and doing all those connections first.
Yeah, and I know we've spoken about this before, and I've heard you talk about it in other conversations and interviews, Soraya. But you know, when you founded All the Elements, it was because you just couldn't find that network. It didn't exist, did it? You were trying to find out about, you know, organizations and how to get in touch and find lists of, you know, groups and individuals, and it just wasn't there, was it?
No, it was when in 2020 I started doing a lot more work personally on diversity in the outdoors, and I knew that there were these epic people out there doing these amazing things. And I thought I could really do with like bouncing some ideas off other people who were also going through the same things that I'm going through, and really like finding that support and that community. And I reached out to some really high profile people. At the time, I definitely had no profile in this space. And I was like, hi, can you please tell me where I could find other people that I could talk to about this? And they all said, oh, there's not really anywhere like that, but it sounds like a great idea. And that's how All the Elements was born. So
then you had to go away and create All the Elements, didn't you? Once you
I know I had a few people say to me, you know, that wasn't the only option. I was like, oh, well, in my head, it really was the only option. I needed it. So yeah, we had to build it.
Amazing. And just you mentioned there the epic organizations, you know, all the amazing people that are now in this you know, huge and growing community. Who of those individuals or organizations has kind of inspired you the most recently?
Frankie, do you want to go first?
I do. I can't pick just one or just a few. It is way too hard. I feel like it's a little bit like asking someone to pick their favorite child.
Oh, yeah.
Can't do it. But what I would say is that at the end of 2023, we did a recap on our social media and put it back out to the community. What are some of the things that they wanted to celebrate that they've achieved in 2023? And there's so many groups that came back to us. So if anybody wants to see more of them, like head over to our socials and they're all still on there. But you know, it's such a range of stuff. It's like Black trail runners ran their first Black to the Trail racing event. There was a trail racing event by and for Black and brown people and white allies. Southeast Asians Outdoors set up. It was 2023 when they founded and they ran their first events. It's Everybody Outdoors, a community of plus size people who trained their first regional volunteers so they could have regional groups running events. People like UK Paraclimbing Collective who ran their first major event that was a 2-part competition series. So just across diversity areas, across different sports, across different group sizes, there is so much work happening and it's all so exciting.
Yeah, it's an impossible question. I think I've been asked it before as well. Like, who are your favorite groups, or who's doing the best work? And I'm like, they're all doing the best work.
Yeah.
Understand it's so different and so diverse, and that's what makes it so incredible. So
Absolutely. Yeah. I watched that video and it's just so, yeah, so uplifting. So yeah, very exciting to find out more and meet some of these people. Timber, as you know, it's all about connection to nature, to trees, to forests, to the outdoors. What's your individual connections to nature?
oh, that's a good question. I'm like, in what way? Okay, so for me personally, and actually sadly this became more obvious to me after I lost my dog, so I wasn't going out every day walking in nature, is the connection to the changing of the seasons and the understanding of like there's this constant movement and change and development, but there's also like a rhythm to it. It's like, oh yeah, it's spring now. and this is what happens in spring, and what's going on in my life is like what's going on in my life, but nature like continues and just shows us how we're part of this bigger amazing thing. So yeah, I think that's it for me.
What do you say, Frankie?
Yeah. I think for me, like people often talk about connection to nature and talk about, you know, big wild places. And as a hiker and a swimmer and a climber, like I get that completely. But also nature connection is also just about remembering like all the natural and wild parts of ourselves and all those ways that you can kind of fit it into your day to day. Like this like simplest thing just before this call, we've got some bulbs of garlic in the kitchen that are all sprouting, and just took 5 minutes to separate them out and put them in a little bowl of water to give them a chance to actually grow. And I think it's like small acts like that that you can do even in the indoors that are also so important to really connect back into nature.
I think you can tell which one of us is the wholesome director. I'm not watering my sprouting garlic.
You haven't got your hands muddy today.
No, I have not.
I know exactly what you mean though, Frankie, and what you were saying, Soraya, really resonates as well, because I think it, you know, the amazement that I have when I actually grow a vegetable or something, even if it's only one. I don't know, just to see something like that up close that you've created and you've had that kind of contact with, from a seed to a thing that you can eat, is always astounds me. But yeah, the seasonal thing as well, I've tried to be a bit more in tune with that this winter. I think it's the first winter ever in my life where I've actually tried to, I don't know, just recognize the fact that nature is doing something for a reason, and actually we should probably do the same thing to a certain extent, or at least give ourselves a break if we feel.
We talk about this a lot, actually, don't we, Frankie? Like, what does it mean to be wintering? And how can we reflect that in the types of work we do and how we design things, including, you know, how our team works and things like that. So it's an area of growth for us, is to see how us as an outdoor organization that actually predominantly works from indoors, how we can work to better connect our team to nature and the way that we work to nature too.
Yeah, because it can get lost, can't it, very easily if you're not careful. You can be talking about it and not actually living it, and yeah, and responding to what's around us. So yeah, lots of food for thought. We're doing the same this end as well. So let's talk about the festival. So yeah, whole area, all the elements. Tell us what your thoughts are around what that's going to look like, and the kind of people and activities and programming that the Timber audience will be able to enjoy.
We are so excited about it. I think when we think about the All the Elements community, there's such a range of voices and experiences and different cultures within it. It's such a vibrant community, and we're really excited to sort of bring that, capture it, and bring it into the timber space and see what that's going to look like. I think it's going to be a lot of chance for meaningful conversations and some really important conversations that we need to be having. I think there's going to be a chance for lots of people to hear new experiences and also to have their experiences heard. Like, it's really about creating conversations and creating the spaces for people to have those conversations. And then also with that, thinking about other different ways to really experience those different elements, the All the Elements community, whether it's connecting through a walk, through a nature connection session, through art, like what are the different ways that we can really bring the experience of the community into the festival?
And I think when we were designing, we were thinking about our, like, the essence of what we do is that almost everyone like we're talked about like we're niche, right? Diversity within the outdoors. But actually almost everyone fits into one of our diversity characteristics, if we're going to call them characteristics, whether that's because of age or because of sexuality or because they are a person of color or because they have limited financial means or because they have an invisible or visible disability, because of mental health. There are so many different facets to our community that we're like, no, we want to hear from the timber community who resonate with these conversations and the things that are happening. And as Frankie says, come to join us and share their experiences, because we're all about learning from each other and building each other up and supporting each other and what that looks like. So yeah, we can't wait to do it in person at Timber, which feels like a space that really is very resonant to the way we work and what we do, with Patagonia supporting us, which is another brand that is very resonant in what I know both Timber and All the Elements does. It's just like and I said this when we had a meeting about it, it's like our dream partnership, really. So
it really
so
is. Yeah, really, really exciting. And I think, you know, we've talked before about how you're really keen to you know, to hear from people about ahead of the festival. So while people are on site, you know, obviously coming along and joining in and being part of the area in whatever way they wish to be. But ahead of the festival is also, you know, if there are things that either people have already been to Timber or are coming for the first time, would be really interested in seeing and hearing and experiencing in the All the Elements area. Obviously, not everything will necessarily become a reality, but is there a way that people can get in touch with you if that's the case?
Yes. So, the first thing to say is that this is a big part of who we are as All the Elements and what we do. We are very community led. And so most of the things that we do, I'd say 99% of the things that we do are based on what the community asks us for. And then the other 1% are the things that we have to do because of, I don't know, whatever requirement that is necessary for funding, probably reporting.
Yeah.
We don't do that because the community tells us to do it. We do have to do it. So yes, so we were so excited to hear from people, what do you want? And we can take that into consideration when we're thinking about programming, and not just for this. We also run other events. We are also hoping that this is part of a longer term partnership, so it might be something we can bring at another point. So please do tell us, even if it's just I've always been curious about ... Tell us. And the way that you can tell us is to email us on our email, which is hello@alltheelements.co. That's it. It doesn't have a .co.uk. It doesn't have a .com. It's just .co. And I'm sure that it will be shared in the notes on this video as well. But yeah, reach out. We'd love to hear from you.
Perfect. And people can also comment as well when this goes out, and we'll be sure to pass on comments. So whichever way feels easiest to get in touch would be great. It'd be lovely to hear from people, wouldn't it?
And comfortable, because we want people to feel comfortable. It might be that you have a question that you think, oh, how is this going to land? Like, don't worry about that with us. That is literally what we do. We work cross-sector with people who really know their own thing really well, but perhaps don't know what someone else is doing, but they're curious. They're coming from a place of care, and they're coming from a place of openness and wanting to learn and understand. And so if you feel like, oh, I'm not sure I want to put this in a comment where all of my friends and family can see it, drop us an email.
Perfect.
Frankie has something
sorry,
to say.
Frankie.
Yeah,
Yes.
I just
Sorry. Yes.
a bit of a tangent, but just to say that also, if anybody's watching this and they are somebody that's running a community or an organization that aligns with what we've been talking about, like All the Elements is open to everyone. So please do get in touch with us. You'd be more than welcome to join us.
Yeah. Woo.
Yay. I was just going to ask you something which I was thinking about earlier, because we have we've got a couple of new areas at Timber. Well, we've got 3 or 4 new areas this year, which is exciting. One of which is called Here is Hope, and it's a way of us showcasing some of the amazing kind of projects that are very future facing, regenerative, and we're going to be working with an artist to kind of kind of express those projects through either an installation or some discussions. But I just love that idea of kind of putting yourself in the future, 10 years down the line, reimagining kind of the world around us. What would that look like for you if you could create that world that's 10 years from now? That's a big question. Just
Frankie's
touch on one thing.
Yeah.
Yes, I don't have like a solid answer. I'm almost hopeful that my answer is not 10 years time, it's sooner than that. But I think just an outdoors that, is really genuinely accessible and open to everyone, and that we've got there through change, that it's really people led. I think we've seen a lot of kind of like top down approaches, and actually really supporting the grassroots movements and the people that are making change from the bottom up. And when I'm thinking about it in a way that it's like the outdoors is open for everyone and in the way that they want to use it, rather than being sort of like really prescriptive about how you should get outdoors or what that looks like. It's like, well, what do you want it to look like for you?
That's so beautiful, Frankie. I'm like, how can I follow that?
Thank you.
What do I want in 10 years to be our hopeful future? I think it's for me, I can't see clearly what it looks like, but I know that I want it to feel hopeful and joyful and creative. I think those are the things that really are coming up for me, and a little bit touching on what Frankie's saying, a deeper connection to nature for everyone. So we're almost not talking about nature connection anymore because it's just a normal part of life. 10 years? I hope it's sooner. I feel like maybe that's optimistic for 10 years, but I hope so, because there are so many people doing amazing things to bring that to life, that I just really hope it's embedded by then. Yeah,
it needs to be, doesn't it? To solve a lot of the the problems that we're facing at the moment. It certainly needs to be. Well, yeah, thanks. We're so excited about working with you, and we're going to be finding out a lot more about what you'll be programming, the kind of things that people can expect. So we're going to be updating the website as and when those speakers and community groups are confirmed, and we'll have a big announcement in March. So keep an eye on the website, everyone. And if you haven't bought tickets, get buying. Yeah, loads to look forward to at Timber, as well as all the elements. We've got loads of brilliant live music, woodland DJs, as always, a beautiful wellbeing area, delicious food, and the talks program. So lots of speakers and authors and discussions. And another new area called Fire in Your Belly, actually, which is very much about action-led talks and workshops. So a chance to come along and be a bit more fiery, learn some new things from organisations like Trash Free Trails, and yeah, lots of great organisations. So yeah, thanks so much. We're looking forward to seeing you there. And thanks for chatting to us today. Really appreciate it.